Welcome to the Do It All Dad Year podcast, dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. I'm your host, Michael Kornbluth. This is Season 2, Episode 2, Jokes I Won't Be Doing in Manhattan Tonight. It's time to lay off the Amazon cloud when your 4-year-old son threatens to stab you in the heart first thing in the morning because you deny him instant gratification from his Futurama TV. This is an astrology off I had with my 3 pitch perfect children. We were looking up, I did a Google search for like famous celebrities that were born under everyone's sign. So this is our astrology off. Here we go. Matilda, you got Einstein, George Washington. Arthur has Dr. King, Ben Franklin. Damn it! Matilda says, Arthur is beating me already. Baby Samuel has Alice Cooper, Lincoln. Matilda, my daughter, says, I don't like this game anymore, Daddy. My reply, Pisces are very competitive. We're at Whole Foods. This is the barista. I'm with my son, Samuel, a.k.a. Gorilla Grip, a.k.a. Bam Bam Gigolo, when he sticks his thick, adorable tongue out, a.k.a. Jabba Hut Hike in the house. So I'm with Samuel, a.k.a. Gorilla Grip. Barista says, is your baby always so chill? My reply, he isn't with her, plus his mommy isn't an American psycho. She's originally from Australia, so that helps. My 7-year-old daughter's glimmers of atheism. Your baby brother's new nickname, Matilda, is Number 1 Capricorn. Which is great because he was born on New Year's Day, obviously. Plus he stems from the first man on Earth, Adam. My daughter interjects, we all come from apes, Dada. And I say, stop acting so evolved already, female Flash. You're killing me. So this is my he's so happy retort, because I get that a lot. I don't get it a lot. I get it all the time. Whenever I'm out with my son Samuel, which is often. The stay-at-home comedian dad does get out more frequently than you would think. So this is my he's so happy retort. My baby Samuel is already familiar with Bob Marley's earlier work during his prime crooning pre-concrete jungle, chase those crazy bald heads out of town phase. Unlikely post on LinkedIn. I think God gives kids to only the lonely is obviously funnier and far less depressing than God gives kids to the lonely. Agreed? Fake news funny commentators? Whole Foods again. I'm checking out. I'd already gotten the espresso. This is post-espresso. The guy working there. Working the checkout line. He was wearing this pin that said, all good. So I figured I'd riff and comment. See if any comedy, mining, gold was on the other side of the rainbow. And this is what happened. I said, nice pin. All good. I'm assuming Jeff Bezos gave you his pin number for his JP Morgan account. Assuming you emote online about the muffled shrieks of despair on the Handmaid's Tale. Ha! I love making fun of that show. I just don't understand how my wife could watch that. I mean, knowing that these are like females that are tortured. And all you hear is this backdrop of excessive whimpering despair, and she has a daughter. It's like very similar with like Game of Thrones. Like I'll never forget my wife for getting me into Game of Thrones just because of the one scene where you had the witch and she convinced I don't know, one of the guys that she was banging, I forget the names, I couldn't tell you the names if my life depended on it, but that his daughter was a witch and they burned her at the stake. Like, are you kidding me? Same thing for Orange is the New Black. Watching that scene where I got to watch the Cray sisters jealous of their figure skating Olympic hopeful sister, and they push her into some lake, pond, whatever, and watch her drown. Unbelievable. So my point here for do-it-all dads, aspirational do-it-all dads, is that don't watch those shows if you don't want to resent your wife forever. All right? Because you obviously have a heightened sensitivity to children. Unnecessary, it's always unnecessary, but obviously you develop a full-blown, heightened sensitivity to the murdering and torture of children. The when you're a dad, and during your one ordained hour of relaxation, once the kids are asleep, after the bubble and after reading, you don't want to see that. So glad we got that out of the system. And again, so this was also obviously my son's happiness was really causing was causing a real disruption in the force at Whole Foods that day. So there was this like old grumpy guy. He like wouldn't even get his cart out of my way. So immediately I'm giving this guy death stares. And yeah, I heard that one quote from like Larry Charles, who used to write on Curb, where he said if Larry could kill someone, he would. And I'm not saying I would, but I get the impulse. So, especially with this guy. So again, so I decided to like riff on this like old curmudgeon fuck. And I get my espresso. And again, the barista said, like I said before, she goes, the baby's so happy. And I said, yeah, old men hate him for it because my precious offspring highlights how loud and annoying their kids were growing up, knowing their wives failed miserably at making their kids any chiller on even a part-time basis. I had to stop laughing at jokes I won't be doing in Manhattan tonight. So this is Daddy, Doodle Dad over here, propping up Columbus. I'm trying to put my daughter to sleep. Daddy, Columbus gave the Indians diseases. And I say, Matilda, pretty sure Charlie Sheen planted his seeds of destruction and gave his fair share away at the last AVN convention in Mohegan Sun. Nobody's taken down Major League off Cinemax yet. This is the esteemed Dr. Michael Savage interviewing Ziggy Marley. Not that he ever would, because he's not that cool, obviously. Michael Savage interviewing Ziggy Marley. Michael Savage. Studies prove excessive weed use lowers your sperm count. Ziggy Marley replies, my father had 12 kids. Fake news, man. Thank you very much. Michelle Obama is class personified, no doubt. As the ex-First Lady, has she ever gone on record stating her two girls are composed, bright, celestial beams of light because she held them to a higher social standards than Antifa? Just curious. Bloomberg could have run against Trump the way Bernie did. So much for 2017 being the year for atheist Jews. Can I get a holla for some holla? Joan lives. Pre-K. Stay-at-home comedian dad, that being me. If my constant laugh generation has approved it already. Picking up my son at pre-K. And I say, I got Arthur's mom to take all 3 kids to Delaware for a long weekend so I can get my book proposal out already and not be a bitchy, dependent underling the rest of my life. Obviously, the pre-K teacher assistant laughed a long time. So I'm at a tavern. So the woman says, your son is gorgeous. Your wife must be fetching in her own right. And I say, but her arm fat, which my other 5-year-old son points out at the dinner table, weighs heavily on her overall bangability index score. Not to be a complete asshole about it. Michael Savage on Kanye West. This is my impersonation of Michael Savage on Kanye, which completely turned me off to the man. You would think forever. He's off the list, I'm done. His last book was... He does a very good job of selling his writing, but his writing is not nearly as engaging as he thinks. And his voice is way better. He's way better off the script. And whenever he reads from his writing, he loses all momentous flow, in my opinion. I don't have that problem, obviously. I can go both ways. But Michael Savage on Kanye West. I'm sick to my stomach. This lowlife rapper debased the same desk I sat across from the president. Great work, Michael Savage. You've straddled the I'm is nappy-headed you-know-what line out of pure ego-driven jealousy alone. You've shrunk 3 inches in impressive talk radio stature, if that's even possible. That was an awful, stab at trying to be, poetic and, make fun of the fact that He's a short Jew. He suffers from a major Napoleonic complex, obviously. But again, member of Dr. Savage. Again, my name is Michael Korn Bluth. I'm a member of the tribe. It's my God-given right to make fun of elitist. He would never call himself an elitist, but he's just your typical elitist, know-it-all Jew from the Bronx, who's above all like reproach, who thinks his shit never stinks. Come rain or shine. Very similar to my father. I mean, yeah, there's an appealing, factor to that personality, but gets a little bit draining and off-putting after a while. That's why you need some space. Definitely need a timeout space from Dr. Savage over here. But he is smart, he's well-read, has interesting things to say, but the man wants me to smoke weed again, so I never end up sounding like him, which is extra annoying. Definitely a sign that guy's getting under my nerves just a little bit. Like I was saying, Savage, you're huffy, gruff, old man, get off my Oval Office assessment of Kanye West makes me want to smoke the ganja again, so I never end up sounding like you. Once I'm done reading your book, Stop Mass Hysteria, which I now have done, you're officially off the list. I've gone back on that. But I announced it on my podcast now, so you're off the list. Mark Levine is just as impressive, if not more. And he does a good job of making fun of you. But I'm not going to turn this into like a political podcast, where we've moved on to a greener, more universal connective horizons. So Robert E. Lee quote, slavery as an institution is a moral and political evil in any country. But have fun with your pretend race war, Twitter twats. Last time I checked, Trump beat Hillary, not Obama. Obama just introduced her at Jay-Z rallies. So much for me going against my precious word over there by saying I was going to stop being political. I meant for that being like the central thrust in a lot of what I do on this podcast. And again, these are jokes I won't be doing in Manhattan tonight. They're already sending a tad dated, I know. So, this is me being an intentional dick to my wife. Oh, really, babe? Is that so? Baby Samuel said Baba to Grandma. That's pretty miraculous. Because Samuel has only seen her like 6 times so far, max. Correct? Sorry, folks. Mother-in-law's done goonish to help me out from the start. And she decided to adopt a rescue dog after the birth of our 3rd beautiful, healthy grandchild. So, like, what do you say? Like, do you really need extra company when you got 3 grandchildren over here? And obviously now, the center of attention is always the runt of a dog, not children. And mother-in-law has a hard time getting around too. So when she's here, my father-in-law is usually the involved one with my 3 kids, because he's a tad more mobile, much more mobile. So the guy still runs half marathons. He reads some stories, he'll do the bubble. She's good at, like, baby holding, yeah, and, like, taking over the kitchen and filling up the room with her overbearing, annoying space. She means well. And I know she loves him very much. And she loves to say God bless. And she'll use God bless as absolute, filler. Make sure she's like good with God. So, all I gotta do is God bless. That's all I gotta say. And my grandma cred is rock solid. I will be an A+ grandma in the eyes of the Lord as long as I say God bless. Whatever. Whatever makes you sleep well at night. So this is the astrology off part 2 later that night, which I referred to earlier. So Matilda, all right, this is who else you got, okay? These are the other big name celebrities born under your sign. Matilda, you got Einstein, George Washington. Arthur's got Dr. King, Ben Franklin, Baby Samuel. He's got Alice Cooper, Lincoln. And now Dada, which you did not mention before. So I'm sounding repetitive. Dada's got Van Gogh, Vince Vaughn, Eddie Murphy, Doug Stanhope. Then my daughter kicks me in the shin, and my son, Arthur, pelts me with change in my face. The end. It's a true story. And by the way, so my son, I love that new nickname for him, #1 Capricorn. And I strongly recommend that experience for like anyone listening to this podcast. it's a great bond with your kids. Kids obviously love to learn about themselves, and it's also a great way for them to learn about famous people born under their signs. So, and then you could learn about those people and inspire them. And I remember like today, like my daughter, she came home from school and she goes, "Daddy, like, did you study music?" Yeah, I told you I took the sax. Wasn't very good. She's like, "Yeah, you suck, right?" I'm like, "Matilda, I wasn't great. I never had the opportunity to find out if I had any real talent at it. I made it very clear that you have people such as John Coltrane, who's like the greatest tenor saxophonist of all time. When he was playing in Hawaii after the military, people said that he was like barely listenable, and he was a consummate workhorse at the horn, and really worked his way into greatness. So I mentioned the same thing about Michael Jordan. Everyone knows that story, but not her. But him not making the varsity cut, and so that's always great when we're able to reference stories about like real actual people who achieved greatness, and they achieved greatness because they did want it more, and because they worked their ass off to get it, and because obviously God gave them certain God-given abilities that they chose to maximize and make the most of because they knew that they were special inside. They just had to work as hard as humanly possible to unearth them. So, God bless MJ for doing that. And of course, the great John Coltrane. Obviously, John Coltrane has given me much more joy than Michael Jordan. Him, Jordan being the consummate Knick killer, and me being a diehard Knick fan. But I'm also glad that I did grow up during that time because I can honestly say that LeBron James is the king of the persecution complex, and that obviously never really possessed even anything coming close to the killer attack instinct of MJ, nor the creativity. But I'm not going to turn it into like a sports podcast. Although a producer at Mad Dog Radio accepted a LinkedIn connection request from me recently, but he was actually been very receptive. I've sent them lots of material. I have a lot of respect for Mad Dog, obviously much more than know-it-all Francesa. I mean, obviously I respect Francesa, but if I had a choice to have a beer with Mad Dog or Francesa, it's obviously Mad Dog. I saw him play in my high school growing up as a kid. And when I wrote Mike Mates, which was a pilot that I wrote that Margaret Cho read, she gave it the So Funny Not True story. Got the direct message through Twitter. It's definitely one of the greatest moments of my life. It's really awesome. And although she actually confused me for this other Josh Kornbluth, it's one of the reasons why I call myself Michael Kornbluth on this podcast, because now I am documented as Michael Kornbluth, but I'm documented as Michael Joshua Kornbluth. My parents always call me Josh. And of course, I decided to change my name to Michael Kornbluth for this podcast because the other Josh Kornbluth is a total Google hog. Yeah, doesn't matter how many blogs I posted, doesn't matter how many YouTube videos I get up there, doesn't matter how many blind date appearances I get out there in the cyber universe. Whenever I would Google Josh Kornbluth, doesn't matter that I had like 5,000 to this day plus connections on LinkedIn, proving I wasn't just another schmuck in a headset. Doesn't matter. Whenever I used to Google Josh Kornbluth, the other Josh Kornbluth, his neck rolls, his fat, unfunny cheeklings would fill up like the first 10 pages of Google. So that's why I just had to go for a change. But so-called humorist, I shouldn't be completely dumping on him because I've never really heard his stuff. But there's this girl Sydney who I'm friendly with, great gal. Married to a guy named Dustin, who's also real Southern gent, personified. And they've listened to the podcast. So I'm going to focus more on the family-friendly material. They were a really beautiful, sweet daughter. And why am I mentioning them? Why am I mentioning Cindy and Dustin? I was mentioning Cindy and Dustin. Unbelievable, folks. This is the first time ever, on the podcast, I'm drawing a blank on making a total connection. Okay. So I was talking about Margaret Cho. And Josh Kornbluth. So that's right. Sydney had said, you know what? I'm glad that you own Michael Kornbluth because I went on YouTube and I checked out the guy Josh Cohen with, and he isn't funny at all. So there we go. Sorry, folks. I know that took a long time. But Sydney, I love you. In an affectionate, super admirable sense, Dustin. I know I've gone completely radio silent, and I haven't been responsive at all. I'm really sorry for that. Doing my best to hustle out of poverty here on the home front. I'm sure you understand. So, Sydney's a big fan of this doodle dad over here. So here we go. This is cascading jokes on my day of rest. Vegetarians and pescatarians don't get enough protein. Right now, I'm going to share with you are vegetarian and pescatarian don't get enough protein counterpunches for my kids to strike back with. Omnivores like yourself are more likely to get cancer. Increased hypertension, knowing how much your parents mishandle your health, isn't helping you either. I love that joke. Fresh off the press. Aren't you guys blessed? In the brewery bathroom with 2 of my 3 kids this weekend. My firstborn is taking a number 2. Outside I hear, who locks the public bathroom door? I reply, I got 2 kids in here. Take your Michael Jackson appreciation party someplace else. My daughter's hilarious mermaid deformity theory. Mermaids are deformed and not fully developed women from head to toe because they ate too much seafood when they were pregnant. F you, Louis C.K. You wish your daughter was this hilarious. You too rock. This is me at a used bookshop. My 4-year-old son says, Daddy, can you grab that book for me? And I say, for Mr. Fantastic, it wouldn't be a stretch. The puns just keep pouring out of me today, kiddo. This is me texting funny to my friend Dave. Very proud of your sobriety, bud. Natalia is taking the kids to the Bronx Zoo soon. I'll be free to talk after I jerk off to mounting Pam Grier in zebra print lingerie as an oversexed zoologist. Can I get a holla for some holla? And I say that because I was like, what does that mean? And I said, well, funny equals money. And bread is a slang word for money. So that's why I use it. You could say that I'm making an abstract connection there, but I don't care. It's my show. And my children love it when I say, can I get a holla for some holla? And it gets a lot by itself. You don't have to explain it. So let's let the do-it-all dad, sit-down comedian stick to trusting his instinctual funny jawbone. Thank you very much. What else are you banned from, Daddy? This conversation I had with my daughter this weekend, pizzeria. Daddy, what else are you banned from, Daddy? Well, besides the local salon here in Croton Falls for my Hillary jokes, I got banned from the Comedy Cellar ages ago for going long because I was off to a strong start for once and invited my own caravan to attend. I'm not 100% gay. I just never wanted to bang my wife too much. 3 kids later or not. What are my options now? Bang a German hooker, the one time I had my wife agree to before we got married? Wear 5 condoms to extend my time in my occupied territory indefinitely? Coffee shop. I don't spend that much time in coffee shops, just to be clear. Not a millennial musketeer over here. Here we go. Good work, Josh. Exclude. I don't care if I exclude you. Here we go. Coffee shop. Older woman. Your baby is the Gerber baby come to life. My reply. Thank God I didn't knock up Kathy Griffin instead. Lately she looks like Clifford and Trans Chucky had a baby. This is me at the record store / used bookshop. I enter it. The record area. Wife says, don't buy any records. And I'm thinking, you don't know how to talk to a stay-at-home comedian dad at all, do you? Simply read. I passed by the record, and I couldn't help myself. I saw the record cover for Simply Red. And I say out loud, just the shot of testosterone I was looking for. And then I add, you don't find that funny, UB40? At least the owner did later to confirm my raging inferno inside. After UB40 gave that line, goonish! Wannabe Jack Black. So this is me in the elevator after the brewery, okay? I give my baby boy Samuel a pretend jump backbreaker in the elevator. My wife completely freaks out in disgust, despite my baby boy's shrieks of pure flowing joy. My wife says, "You're gonna make the elevator jam." My wife shrieks, knowing her precious boy is never this loosey-goosey in her arms. Ha! Can I get another holla for some holla? Brewery, again. This is before. Fish and chips arrive on my table. Plate area. Fish and chips arrive. I ordered the fish and chips. And they arrive as one plop of fried fish and fries on my plate. And I say, "My fried fish looks like a knish." Waiter laughs. And I add, "Now my limey Aussie wife is going to tell me I'm being too difficult." Jackie Mason lives. He's not dead, though. He's not dead yet. Bagel store. Jam-packed Saturday, I know. I went to an old recruiter bud. It was really nice seeing him. I mentioned in the last podcast. He says, "I got into sales leadership." Because we used to be IT recruiters. Professional, glamorized parasites. But he was always a grinder and worked hard. And I always liked him. Here we go. Old recruiter bud. And loves the Knicks. I mentioned this before, being repetitive. Old recruiter bud. He goes, "I got into sales leadership. Now I manage a sales team for a literacy technology company." And I said, "So kids use your platform to start off reading USA Today in class instead of Sheridan in lobbies?" I totally stuttered. Sheridan in lobbies? I'm going to try saying that 5 times in a row. Sheraton in lobbies? Sheridan in lobbies? Sheraton in lobbies? Shelley Long lobbies? I hate pizza tossers who tense around my beautiful offspring in their mediocre New York pizzerias. Your vodka sauce looks like brownish shit. Your marinara sauce is serviceable at best. And your Pinocchio nose looks like it got caught in a wood chipper Luigi. Loved Joan Rivers on Fashion Police. Her story about Lenny Bruce saying they're wrong, she's right, and how that kept her going after bombing for like 2 weeks in a row in the Village. That was always very inspiring for me. Still, like her greatest hits on Spotify make Rodney feel like the classier, smarter, funnier act. Sorry. Madison Avenue is dead. Some moron erects a billboard with KP and Durant saying, "Make the Knicks great again." Are you kidding me? Durant hates pushy, Jewy New York reporters more than 25-pound kettlebell curls. Use your head, morons. That's for you, Dice. Dice lives. So this past Saturday at the bookshop, used bookshop / used record store, I got the No Respect Rodney record on vinyl. It was cool too because he had it like in his secret stash area, which I never knew existed. And it turns out that Rodney was 43 years old when the album came out, which explains why my 3 kids to his 2 at 42 for me has produced such pressure-packed gemery, knowing I never had a lucrative paint sales career to fall back on in the first place. So this is Doodle Dad, your podcast. Dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids through comedy, especially when we're able to work home, remote, in our own workplace, free of endless mind-numbing meetings, can make our kids great again. The first interview I want to do for this podcast was Rodney Dangerfield's daughter. I cold called her. I got her on the phone. I said, I want to put a spotlight on the remote father work revolution. And your father started it. He opened up Dangerfield so he didn't have to go on the road. It's beautiful. George Lopez, I'm not making this up. This documentary on Comedy Central, he said 99% of the comics would have taken that insane Vegas residency money in a millisecond. Dangerfield's like, no, I want to stay close to my daughter. I want to be an active dad because he was neglected as a child. He did not get much tender love and happiness from his parents. They basically made him feel like, A, he wasn't related to them, and B, that he wasn't really wanted. And I can relate to that, Rodney. So could Joan. And I don't know about Jackie Mason. I can't really say. But, his father was a rabbi. I know that much. But I really do agree, with that concept that, why else would people want to become comedians and commit their lives to the most, grindish, profession possible Why would they commit their lives to getting love from strangers if they got so much absolute love that made them feel so special in the first place from their parents? It's true. So, Rodney, just so you know, Stay-At-Home Comedian, it's coming together. I listened to the first half of the album today, and it was very instrumental. Definitely, what I learned about Rodney is that he's always complaining about his shitty friends and his wife, and really a lot of comedy. It's really true. A lot of comedy, and I know it gets boring to talk about, but I'll make it sound more interesting than fucking Michael Savage. He's got no respect for any comedy. Is that what I learned for myself, and sometimes by just talking out loud, I'm able to learn better, and you guys could benefit too. But because I am writing a book called Controlling Kids to Comedy, so compare and contrast, always works. And what was really good about Rodney is that he didn't sound like this awful victim. He didn't sound super melodramatic. He was funny and amusing, and talking about how he has one joke where every time he goes in the elevator, and there's like an elevator man, he always says basement. That made me laugh. And basement, very funny word. I learned that from Seinfeld. His big thing is always, he does a lot of like word mapping, and he likes to identify like funny words. Basement's definitely funny words. I'm always asking my children, hey Matilda, like we'll do Mad Libs, and I'll say, so what body part do you think sounds funnier, spleen or medulla oblongata? She says medulla oblongata, obviously, Daddy. It's a great exercise to do. So you want to control your kids through comedy, and not have to raise the rod, and not have to just shove a smartphone device in front of them the rest of your lives. I would suggest doing Mad Libs pronto, and it would improve your own expressive mic and make your work memos a tad more readable for a change. So there you go. But yeah, so I'm listening to the Rodney album today, and that basement line made me laugh, and it just made me think back to. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even complete the story, but Rodney's daughter, she's now a home designer, and she also works as a producer. I think she worked on Politically Correct back in the day, and she was very nice to me. I cold called her. I thought someone else was gonna pick up the phone. I got her on the phone, and I said, your dad was the original stay-at-home dad. He basically created a workplace comedy club, literally right down the block. So how great is that? When this podcast eventually gets a new notable Apple, sometime this freaking millennium, and next year, I got the Stay-At-Home Comedians out. It's a bestseller. I got some money. I got some disposable income. I could definitely get my son Samuel more socialized and be able to afford to pay for a pre-K local synagogue, and I could either A, continue to work here in my home office, which my daughter has dibs on in 2 years, or I could actually rent out a space that is opening. That's actually a co-office space that's literally down the block, or I could continue to pump out awesome gemery here, write my second book, Birth of a Pescatarian Comedian, and actually go out and perform stand-up and afford a babysitter, and I could perform in Manhattan and make contacts with other do-it-all-dad comedians, which would be a beautiful thing, because I find it hard to believe that Louis C.K., he's got a monopoly in that market. I know Voss has a kid, but kids, do they soften you up? Sure, but they're really hard to resolve. And I'm living proof of it. I'm still trying to I'm trying to still prove to the world that I have been overlooked. Not overlooked. I'm just, Randy Newman says, one of his songs, American Dream is for a man just to work at a job so he can provide for his home and his family. And obviously, real happiness, can be derived as a whole in the form of self-fulfillment by doing what you love, which is basically play, and you want to do more of it. And especially if you could have a great purpose behind it, where it's not just you enlarging your ego. And so I feel that with Rodney, that's why he got the club, because he wanted to be a more involved do-it-all dad, and I thought that's beautiful. And with me, I want to be the voice and the face for men's reproductive rights. We don't have any, but no, I want to be the face for the remote dad work revolution. Obviously, I want to kill the Montreal Comedy Festival. Obviously, I like to do a one-man off-Broadway show about my do-it-all dad year, but we're not there yet. I can't wait to write this book, my fatherhood, success, parenting, philosophy book that's composed of a bunch of my poetry on fatherhood, my blogs, essays, jokes galore. It's going to be one of a kind. Albert Brooks, when he came out with his record, it's got some funky title. I'm drawing a blank on it, but it was a series like Man in the Street interviews and parodies and some stand-up. So this is my Albert Brooks debut, okay? So, and I won't be wearing sunglasses, trying to act like a self-important LA douchebag in the process. So this is Doodle Dad Year Podcast, dad-friendly entertainment for you and me. Controlling our kids through comedy. Can make our kids great again. I want to thank everyone sustained interest in the show, for any personalized compliments and words of encouragement I've received along the way. All your compliments are heartfelt and felt to the core, and I don't plan on letting up anytime soon. And I want to give a quick shout out to iHeartRadio. So glad I'm on your platform, and the best is yet to come. And I'll talk to you guys soon.